In a world obsessed with what can be seen, measured, and proven, there exists an ancient practice that defies logic yet commands reverence, the mystical art of Ifá Divination. This isn't fortune-telling, it's not a parlor game. It's a sacred conversation between the living and the unseen, carried out by Yoruba priests called Babalawos, who claim to speak directly to the spirit world. Using no high-tech devices, no modern equipment, only palm nuts, a divination chain, and their voices, they channel wisdom that has guided their people for centuries. This is not myth, it's a structured, intricate spiritual system with the power to diagnose illness, resolve conflict, and chart destiny. But how is this even possible? Can a handful of sacred palm kernels truly unlock messages from divine beings? What does it mean when a priest says he's reading the voice of Ifá? And how can these ancient symbols hold relevance in today's modern world, where algorithms and satellites rule our lives? These are the questions that stir both skepticism and wonder. They're also why Ifá remains one of the most misunderstood and yet deeply respected spiritual systems on the planet. To understand Ifá is to step into an entirely different way of seeing the universe. The Yoruba people of West Africa believe the world is not a random collision of atoms, but a divinely ordered realm governed by orishas, celestial entities that embody natural forces and human virtues. Ifá is the spiritual bridge that connects humans with these orishas and with Olodumare, the supreme creator. It's not just religion, it's a technology of the spirit, passed down orally for over 1,000 years, codified in complex poetic verses called Odu. This oral scripture contains the distilled wisdom of an entire civilization. This isn't just Africa's secret. From the bustling streets of Lagos to the shrines of Havana and the toreros of Bahia, Ifá continues to thrive across continents. Hidden in plain sight, it has shaped music, politics, resistance, and identity for generations of Africans and their descendants. What you're about to witness is not just a history lesson, it's a revelation. A glimpse into how Yoruba priests pierce the veil between worlds to extract truth, healing, and destiny from the breath of the ancestors themselves. And the further you go, the deeper the mystery gets. So sit tight, because once you understand how Ifá Divination works, you'll never look at the spirit world or your own reality the same way again. Long before colonial borders and modern states, long before cities rose or names were written in books, there existed a people whose understanding of the universe was as vast as the skies and as intricate as the veins of a leaf. The Yoruba, one of Africa's most intellectually rich and spiritually profound civilizations, formed a cosmology that did more than explain the world. It lived through it. At the heart of this worldview is Ifá, not just as a divination system, but as a spiritual intelligence that permeates all of creation. Ifá is the voice of the divine, the structure beneath the chaos, the map between heaven and earth. According to Yoruba belief, the universe is divided into two interconnected realms: Orun, the spiritual world, and Aye, the physical world. Orun is the domain of the orishas, the ancestors and spiritual forces that govern nature and fate. Aye is where humans live, struggle, love, and grow. But these two worlds are not separate. They are in constant conversation, influencing each other through ritual, prayer, and sacrifice. This duality forms the basis of Yoruba spirituality. Nothing is isolated, everything is part of a greater rhythm. The orishas are at the core of this divine ecosystem. They are not gods in the way Western religion defines the term, but powerful energies or archetypal spirits, each governing specific elements of nature and aspects of human experience. There is Ogun, the Orisha of iron and war; Osun, the Orisha of rivers and fertility; Sango, thunder and justice, and many others. These Orishas are intermediaries between Olodumare, the supreme creator, and humanity. They carry messages, influence events, and help guide human beings toward their destiny, or Ayanmo. Ifá serves as the communication tool between these realms. It is both a divine system and a spiritual consciousness, channeled through sacred texts known as Odu Ifá. Each Odu contains verses, parables, histories, and metaphors that encode divine wisdom and practical guidance. These texts are not memorized casually. They are internalized through decades of apprenticeship, ritual, and spiritual discipline. The Babalawo becomes a living archive of this ancient knowledge, one who can decode the symbols cast in a divination session and interpret them in context with the seeker's life. It's this interplay between heaven and earth, human and divine, past and present, that makes Ifá not just a religion but a cosmological system. Every element of life, from illness to joy, from wealth to misfortune, is believed to have a spiritual root. Understanding these roots through Ifá allows the practitioner to restore balance where there is chaos, to mend what is broken, and to realign one's life with their true destiny. In this worldview, nothing is random. Every moment is a message, every challenge is a lesson, and every life is a journey guided by forces far older and wiser than any human institution. This rich philosophical framework gave the Yoruba people not only a sense of order, but a deep connection to the cosmos. It's a worldview that honors ancestors, communes with nature, and respects the unseen forces that shape our fates. And even today, thousands of years since its birth, Ifá continues to offer clarity in confusion, meaning in suffering, and connection in isolation. For the Yoruba and for those who walk the Ifá path across the world, this system is proof that the spirit never stops speaking. You just need to know how to listen. To understand Ifá, you must understand the Babalawo, the priest, the diviner, the intermediary between the seen and unseen. These men, and in some traditions women, are far more than spiritual leaders. They are historians, psychologists, poets, scientists of the sacred. The title Babalawo translates roughly to Father of Secrets, and that is no exaggeration. These are individuals who have spent years, often decades, immersed in the study of Ifá's complex oral texts, spiritual rituals, and metaphysical laws. Their journey is not academic, it is spiritual transformation. They do not simply memorize, they become conduits for a wisdom that is both ancient and alive. Becoming a Babalawo is not like enrolling in a university course. It's an initiation that begins with a calling, an undeniable pull toward the sacred. Once chosen or confirmed by divination, the initiate undergoes intense training under the guidance of an elder Babalawo. This apprenticeship includes learning the 256 Odu Ifá and their thousands of verses, mastering the use of the ople chain or ikin, sacred palm nuts, and understanding the intricate web of taboos, ethics, and rituals. It is not only intellectual, it is behavioral, emotional, spiritual. The initiate must purify his life, embody the principles of balance and respect, and build a relationship with the Orishas. Babalawos are not just scholars of the divine, they are public servants of the spirit. People come to them with questions that cut to the core of existence. Why am I suffering? What path should I take? Is this illness physical or spiritual? With calm, methodical care, the Babalawo casts the divination tools, interprets the signs through the Odu, and delivers a message that is often life-changing. But unlike Western notions of prophecy or fortune-telling, Ifá doesn't deal in fixed fates. It offers insight, guidance, and most importantly, choice. The power is not in what will happen, but in how you respond to the wisdom offered. What sets Babalawos apart is their ethical responsibility. They are held to high standards of truth, discretion, and humility. Their words can alter the course of someone's life, and they must use that power with care. It is said that a true Babalawo does not speak lightly, for his voice carries the weight of the ancestors. Every consultation is a ritual act, every interpretation a sacred duty. To sit before a Babalawo is to sit before centuries of accumulated wisdom, distilled through a living vessel, who has dedicated his life to preserving and transmitting the spiritual DNA of his people. The Babalawo is not a relic of the past. In Lagos, Havana, Miami, Salvador, wherever the Yoruba spiritual tradition has taken root, you will find them, continuing the sacred work of decoding destiny. In a world craving authenticity and depth, the Babalawo remains a quiet but powerful figure, reminding us that some truths cannot be Googled, they must be divined. At the heart of Ifá lies a ritual so profound it transforms silence into speech and chaos into clarity. This is the sacred act of divination, a structured ceremonial dialogue with the divine. But how does one speak with spirits? How do signs, symbols, and sacred items converge into a coherent message? The answer lies in the mechanics of Ifá Divination, a process that is at once mathematical, poetic, and deeply spiritual. Every Ifá Divination begins with intention. A person approaches the Babalawo seeking answers, and the Babalawo in turn consults the Orishas through divination tools, primarily the Opali chain or the Ikin Ifá, a set of consecrated palm nuts. These are not random instruments. Each tool is a repository of spiritual force, and each movement they make is believed to be guided by Ifá itself. The Babalawo invokes Esu, the divine messenger who stands at the crossroads of human and spirit communication, ensuring that the message received is unfiltered and accurate. Using the opal, a chain made up of 8 half-seed pods, split in a specific fashion, the Babalawo casts it with a practiced rhythm. Each throw reveals a binary pattern, open or closed, which is then interpreted to identify one of the 256 Odu Ifá, the sacred texts or signatures of fate. Each Odu is more than a symbol. It is a vast container of wisdom, stories, proverbs, taboos, and lessons. These are not arbitrary messages. They reflect the underlying spiritual forces shaping the seeker's life, offering diagnosis, insight, and sometimes even warning. The more ancient and traditional method uses the Ikin, typically 16 palm nuts, which the Babalawo handles with great ritual precision. He counts them in groups while reciting invocations, and through a repetitive process draws a pattern in sacred powder, often on a wooden tray called the Opon Ifá. These patterns, like fingerprints, point to specific Odu, which then guide the reading. It is a system of deep complexity, requiring both memorization and intuition, structure and spirit. The patterns are not just interpreted, they are experienced. What makes this process extraordinary is that every consultation is entirely unique. Even if the same Odu appears, its interpretation will vary depending on the person, the moment, and the surrounding elements of the ritual. A skilled Babalawo must not only know the verses, but also understand how they live, breathe, and shift with context. This is why experience and spiritual maturity matter. The message from Ifá is not static, and it demands a diviner who can navigate its layered meanings with both intellect and grace. Ultimately, Ifá divination is not about predicting what will happen. It's about understanding what is happening beneath the surface. It reveals hidden influences, unresolved spiritual debts, unrecognized opportunities, and the ancestral roots of current struggles. It offers remedies, rituals, and sometimes sacrifices to realign the individual with their higher destiny. It is a process that reveals, not imposes. It empowers rather than controls. In this intricate fusion of rhythm, sound, gesture, and code, the Babalawo becomes a translator of the divine. And for those who listen, what unfolds is more than an answer. It's a revelation. A mirror held up by the universe itself, inviting us to understand our place in a cosmic design far grander than we can ever imagine. To speak to the spirit world is not just to perform a rite. It is to enter a sacred conversation governed by laws older than time itself. In the Yoruba tradition, the act of Ifá Divination is only the beginning. What follows is the ritual process, a complex and deeply reverent communion between human beings and the Orishas. This is where language ceases to be mere words and becomes vibration, invocation, and offering. It's in this space that the Babalawo, armed with the message of the Odu, takes the next step, delivering that message to the spirits and interpreting their response in real time. The ritual begins in a purified space, often a shrine, a room, or even an outdoor setting, where every object is placed with intention. Sacred tools such as the Opon Ifá divination tray, Ierosun powder, and Ikin are not symbols. They are embodiments of spiritual energy. Each object has been consecrated, imbued with Ashe, the divine life force that animates all things. Before anything is said or done, the Babalawo calls upon Esu, the divine messenger and gatekeeper of all communication between Orun and Aye. Without Esu's blessing, no message can be trusted. With it, the lines between worlds are opened. Chants begin. These are not songs for entertainment. They are ancient incantations passed down orally, each with specific rhythm and cadence, designed to summon particular spirits and awaken ancestral memory. The air thickens with meaning. The Babalawo may invoke specific orishas depending on the Odu revealed during divination, calling on their presence to witness and influence the ritual. Offerings are presented, often items the orisha is known to favor, such as kola nuts, palm oil, or even cooked food. These are not bribes, but energy exchanges, tokens of respect and reciprocity in a universe governed by balance. In more elaborate rituals, animals may be sacrificed in a carefully controlled and respectful manner, with prayers guiding the act and thanking the spirit of the animal for its role. While this may seem foreign to outsiders, in traditional Yoruba cosmology, life is circular and sacred, and sacrifice is a profound spiritual transaction. The goal is always restoration of health, fortune, alignment, or spiritual clarity. The Babalawo, now in the role of both priest and translator, interprets subtle signs throughout the ritual. The way the items fall, the sounds in the environment, even the behavior of those present. Everything speaks. The spirits do not always respond with words. They respond with signs, energy, and shifts in presence. The experienced diviner reads these signals with the same fluency he reads the Odu. He may chant additional verses, pour libations, or direct the seeker to perform follow-up rituals or observances. Every action is both guided and guiding, but above all, the ritual is about connection. It's about mending the fractures between the human and divine, re-establishing harmony where confusion has taken root. It's about reminding the individual that they are never alone, that they are part of a vast, intelligent cosmos where ancestors watch, spirits guide, and orishas intervene. And when done properly, the ritual doesn't just end, it lingers. The air feels different, The seeker feels seen. The spirit world, once silent, has spoken. Every Odu revealed during Ifá Divination is more than just a pattern. It is a doorway, a gateway into a vast reservoir of ancestral knowledge, cosmic insight, and spiritual instruction. Within each Odu lives a library of stories, parables, and teachings, passed down through generations, not written on pages but inscribed into memory, spirit, and ritual. When a Babalawo reads an Odu, he is not simply interpreting, it is as if he is channeling the voice of Ifá itself, translating its wisdom for the individual standing before him. Each Odu has its own personality, tone, and message. Some are direct and uplifting, others cryptic and challenging. One may warn of illness, betrayal, or loss if specific spiritual responsibilities are ignored. Another might reveal hidden blessings, ancestral favor, or the need to step into a new path. But the messages are never absolute. They are contingent on the seeker's present condition, spiritual alignment, and willingness to engage with the prescribed solutions. This is what makes Ifá dynamic and alive. It adapts, responds, and evolves with each consultation. The guidance from Ifá is not abstract philosophy. It often comes with precise instructions. Make an offering to a particular Orisha, perform a cleansing ritual, avoid a certain behavior or person, or travel to a specific place. These prescriptions are not arbitrary. They're energetic recalibrations meant to restore harmony in the seeker's life. Ifá identifies imbalances and offers corrective pathways. It's spiritual diagnostics with actionable outcomes. Beyond the personal, the Odu also offer communal wisdom. Many Babalawos are called upon during times of crisis, not just for individuals, but for entire communities. Whether it's drought, social unrest, or disease, the community may turn to Ifá to ask, what is the root of our suffering? What must we do to make things right? The Odu becomes a social compass, a tool for collective healing, reminding everyone that the spiritual well-being of the group is just as vital as that of the individual. The beauty of Ifá's wisdom is that it doesn't separate the sacred from the practical. It speaks to the full spectrum of life: love, money, health, purpose, grief, ambition. And through the Babalawos' interpretation, the seeker comes away not just with answers, but with a renewed sense of alignment, a sense that their life has meaning, structure, and spiritual support. Perhaps most powerful of all is how the Odu reconnect the seeker with their ancestors. Many times the messages that emerge in divination are echoes from those who walked before, guiding, correcting, and protecting from beyond the veil. In this way, the Odu are not just texts, they are voices, living, breathing reminders that no one walks this path alone. Ifá did not remain rooted in the soil of West Africa. It traveled by force, by faith, and by the resilience of a people determined to keep their spirit alive. As the transatlantic slave trade tore Yoruba sons and daughters from their homeland, they carried with them not only their pain, but their sacred traditions. In new lands, under the watchful eye of colonial powers, and within the brutality of slavery, Ifá transformed not by dilution, but by adaptation. Today, its heartbeat can be heard in the chants of Cuba, the drums of Brazil, and the prayers of Trinidad. It is a global faith hidden in plain sight. In Cuba, Ifá gave rise to what is known as Lucumi, or Santeria, where the Orishas became entwined with Catholic saints, not as a concession, but as a camouflage, a spiritual strategy of survival. Here, Babalawos still perform divinations, chant verses in Yoruba, and offer sacrifices, much like their counterparts in Nigeria. In Brazil, Candomblé and Umbanda thrive with their own variations, honoring the Orishas through elaborate ceremonies, songs, and possession trances. Across the Americas, the spirit of Ifá has taken root in ways both faithful to its origins and uniquely shaped by diaspora experience. Modern practitioners often find themselves at the intersection of tradition and contemporary life. They may work corporate jobs by day and consult Ifá at night. They navigate the digital world while maintaining sacred spaces in their homes. And increasingly, the wisdom of Ifá is being studied by spiritual seekers who feel disillusioned with modern religion and crave something deeper, something rooted in ancestry, nature, and cosmic balance. Online platforms, books, and global communities have made Ifá more accessible than ever, while also raising critical questions about cultural appropriation, authenticity, and the preservation of ritual integrity. Despite these tensions, what remains undeniable is Ifá's enduring power. It continues to guide lives, shape identities, and offer meaning in moments when logic fails. And it does so not through dogma, but through dialogue, a living conversation between the seeker, the spirits, and the sacred wisdom of the past. Whether in a shrine in Nigeria, a living room in Brooklyn, or a torero in Salvador, the essence of Ifá remains. The belief that truth can be divined, that destiny can be understood, and that spirit never forgets where it came from. We began this journey with a question: how do Yoruba priests speak to the spirit world? Now, after exploring the roots, rituals, and revelations of Ifá, the answer feels both simple and profound. They listen. In a world overwhelmed by noise, distraction, and superficiality, Ifá invites us into a slower, deeper, more intentional way of knowing. It teaches that wisdom is not just in books or algorithms, but in stories whispered through generations, in the rustle of palm leaves, in the pattern of signs cast in sacred powder. The Babalawo does not command the divine. He collaborates with it, interprets it, serves it. The beauty of Ifá is not only in its complexity, but in its humanity. It reminds us that our struggles are not new, that our questions are ancient, and that guidance is always available if we're willing to seek it with humility. Whether you're Yoruba by blood or simply connected by spirit, the truths encoded in Ifá transcend language and geography. They speak to something universal: the need to understand who we are, why we're here, and what paths will bring us into alignment with our highest self. This is not a system of superstition. It is a library of encoded wisdom, a spiritual science that has withstood time, colonization, diaspora, and distortion. Its survival is a testament to its power. And as the world turns once more toward ancestral knowledge, earth-based spirituality, and holistic healing, Ifá stands as both a foundation and a guidepost. So if you've ever felt the pull of the unseen, the whisper of something more behind the veil of ordinary life, know this: you are not imagining it. The spirits are speaking, the ancestors are watching, and through the sacred rhythm of Ifá, their voices can still be heard. If you found this journey as powerful and illuminating as we did, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear the wisdom of the ancients. Until next time, may your path be clear and your spirit always in harmony.